Living outside HOA drama should be simple. You pay dues, keep your yard tidy, and nobody bothers you. But of course, when you've got an overbearing HOA Karen with too much free time and a master key, simplicity goes out the window. It was a Sunday evening. I was inside cooking, my wife was folding laundry, and our teenage son, smart kid, wants to be a paramedic, was in his room doing homework. That's when we heard a metallic rattle at the front door. At first, I thought it was the wind. Then came a clink, 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 followed by a muttered, "Why isn't this working?" I peeked through the peephole and nearly laughed. There she was, HOA Karen in her neon windbreaker, fumbling with a ring of keys the size of a janitor's. She had actually walked up to our house in broad daylight and was trying to jam one of her so-called HOA master keys into our lock. I swung the door open. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Karen didn't even flinch. "Routine inspection. HOA policy says I can enter homes if I suspect violations. You're lucky I'm giving you a warning." I barked a laugh. "First of all, this is private property. Second, there's no such thing as a master key policy. And third, you've got 5 seconds to leave before I call the cops." Karen scowled. "If you don't let me in, I'll call the cops. Don't forget, I'm the president of this HOA. You can't refuse me." And with that, she pulled out her phone and dialed 911. What she didn't realize, my son had been volunteering with a local EMS dispatch office as part of a youth program. He'd been shadowing actual operators and learning the ropes. On that very night, he was riding along for training, listening in on real calls under supervision. And guess who picked up Karen's emergency call? 911, what's your emergency? He said, steady and professional. "This is an HOA matter," Karen snapped. "A resident is refusing me entry with my master key. I demand you send officers immediately." There was a pause. My son, trying not to laugh, kept his voice calm. "Ma'am, are you saying you attempted to use a key to enter someone's private home without permission?" Karen huffed. "Of course I did. It's in the bylaws. They're refusing entry." My son nodded at the supervising dispatcher, who signaled to keep her talking while they traced the call. "Just to clarify, you attempted entry, but the homeowner stopped you? And now you're reporting them as the emergency?" "Yes," Karen barked. "Arrest them." At this point, the dispatch supervisor took over, but my son was still listening. He whispered to me later that they flagged it immediately as a trespassing admission. The sheriff's office was dispatched to her location. 10 minutes later, red and blue lights rolled into the neighborhood. Karen puffed up, ready to gloat as officers walked up. "This man is obstructing HOA policy," she declared, pointing at me like I just robbed a bank. "Arrest him." But the officer just raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, dispatch informed us you admitted to attempting unlawful entry with a key. Is that correct?" Karen blinked. "What? No. Well, yes, but it's allowed. I'm the HOA president." The cop side pulled out his notepad and said, "Ma'am, there's no law that allows you to force entry into private property. You're under investigation for attempted trespass." Karen's jaw dropped. "But I called 911. I'm the victim." The officer gestured to the door. "And yet, the only person who admits to using a key on a lock that isn't theirs is you." Karen shrieked, sputtered, tried every excuse in the book, but the officers weren't buying it. They warned her that if she so much as touched another resident's lock again, she'd be arrested on the spot. They also confiscated her ridiculous master key ring, which turned out to be nothing more than a set of badly cut copies she'd demanded from contractors and locksmiths over the years. The cherry on top? My son came home from his shift that night with the biggest grin. "Dad, I think that was the funniest call I've ever taken." She had no idea I was on the line. Word spread fast. Neighbors started locking everything down, furious that Karen had been trying keys on other doors too. Within a month, the board voted her out, citing serious liability to the association. Now, whenever Karen storms past our house, she doesn't bark orders or wave her clipboard anymore. She just glares. But every time I see her, I can't help but chuckle, remembering the night she tried to break in, called 911 for backup, only to have my son on the other end of the line.